So, in the ongoing Elbaf arc, Luffy has received a new pirate title, and this is a title only held by the greatest pirates in the series, like Shanks and Whitebeard. And the thing is, this title is different from being an Emperor of the Sea, and it was actually also held by Goldie Roger himself when he was alive. This is something most fans missed, as Luffy getting this title only becomes clear if you read the original Japanese manga. In chapter 1135 of One Piece, the Giants of Elbaf say that Luffy is a Dai Kaisoku. Dai Kaisoku very literally means Great Pirate. This might actually ring some bells for some of you, as all the way back in chapter 1, Shanks tells Luffy to return the straw hat to him once he has become a great pirate. I will later address what Luffy now becoming a great pirate means for his possible reunion with Shanks, but first, let me address what a great pirate even is. The title has been mentioned all the way back since the East Blue, where for example Luffy and Usopp talk about Shanks, and Usopp is shocked to hear that his father is sailing with the great pirate Shanks. When the story later hits the Grand Line, we discover that not only Shanks, but Whitebeard, Kaido and Big Mom are also all called great pirates. Conveniently, all of these four characters are also Emperors of the Sea. However, as brought up in the intro, Great Pirate is not just another way to refer to emperors. This is because in the Oden flashback, it is revealed that Roger himself was a great pirate years before he became the Pirate King. We also know from chapter 0 that Shiki was also a great pirate during Roger's era, and while there is some misinformation about this among fans, neither Roger or Shiki ever held the title of Yonko. This is made clear in the second Ace novel, where it is said that Roger, Shiki, Whitebeard and Big Mom were the big figures of the past era, and that the Emperor system only came into being after Roger's death and Shiki's disappearance. Here is the interesting part though. There is still one more confirmed great pirate that I have not yet mentioned in this video. To the surprise of many of you, this is none other than Eustace Captain Kidd. In Kidd's latest with Recard, it is revealed that he became a great pirate after defeating Big Mom in Wano. The reason why this is so very interesting is that unlike Luffy, Kidd did not become a Yonko after Wano, and there are actually several characters in the story with bounties higher than Kidd who aren't great pirates. If we put all this information together, the great pirates mentioned so far in the One Piece story are in chronological order: Shanks, Whitebeard, Shiki, Big Mom, Kaido, Goldie Roger, Eustace Kidd, and Monkey D. Luffy. So, what does being a great pirate actually mean? The story has never given an actual explanation of this title, but there are several clues we can infer about the story on what someone would have to do to become a great pirate. For starters, this is clearly a title the characters hold in high regard. Even Usopp in his little backwater village in the East Blue had heard about Shanks being a great pirate, and Usopp himself is someone who is not exactly well informed on the world's affairs. The title also seemingly works the same way as being an Emperor of the Sea does, where it is a title not given by some organization like the world government, but by the public. This means that the criteria for becoming a great pirate likely has to be something simple, as the people of the One Piece world are always basing these things simply off news and hearsay. Personally, I think the biggest clue about what you need to do to become a great pirate comes from Eustace Kidd having the title. Of all the confirmed great pirates, Kidd stands out the most, as he is significantly weaker and less infamous than the rest of the great pirates. And as brought up before, there are arguably several pirates in the story both stronger and more infamous than Kidd, who have not been confirmed to have this title. One idea I had was that the Great Pirate title actually works the same way as something like being a martial arts champion does in real life, where to get the title, you just have to beat the person who is holding it. This is after all literally what happened in Wano, where Luffy and Kid became great pirates after beating Kaido and Big Mom respectively. I do however also have one problem with this idea. It just seems awfully restrictive. Let's for example say that you were a pirate in the One Piece world, and you were actually so successful that you wound up finding the One Piece treasure and becoming the Pirate King. But you did this without beating any big-name pirates in combat. Would the public really be so stingy that they wouldn't call you a great pirate after this, but they would instead call someone like Eustace Kid as one, simply because he beat Big Mom? Even the Yonko title itself does not work this way, where for example, Buggy became a Yonko through sheer influence, without ever fighting another Yonko crew. While beating another great pirate would likely help, I genuinely think there have to be other ways of also getting this title. If the Great Pirate title is something given by the public, other than your deeds that are published in the news, the best source of information the people have on how good of a pirate someone is the value of their bounty. Bounty numbers are actually something the people of the One Piece world care deeply about, and they frequently cite them as evidence of a character's level as a pirate. A personal theory I had before I learned about Kid's new Vivre card was that the requirement for becoming a great pirate was earning a bounty of over 4 billion berry, but this is clearly not the case. However, the idea could still be correct, but that the amount is simply lower, where to be a great pirate, it could be something as simple as having a bounty of 3 billion berry, or more. This would certainly make sense with both Luffy and Kid seemingly earning the title after the events of Wano, where they both got a price of 3 billion on their heads. Having a bounty of 3 billion or above is also seemingly the one unifying theme between the confirmed great pirates, with the only possible exception being Shiki, whose bounty is still unknown. But the real kicker of why I think this could be the thing you need to become a great pirate is that there already are titles in the story that are granted purely based on the amount of your bounty. The Supernova or Super Rookie title is a title given to rookie pirates who've reached the end of the first half of the Grand Line and earned a bounty of 100 million berry or above while doing so. This is why someone like Apu will always have the title of Supernova, while someone like Sanji will never get it, simply because Apu had a bounty of over 100 million by the time of Sapodi. Interestingly, there is also another status in the One Piece story that you get if you earn a bounty of over 100 million, though it is much less glamorous than becoming a supernova. This is the fact that in Impel Down, only prisoners with bounties over 100 million end up in level 5, which is for example why Luffy was originally sent to this level. A small side note, but this same rule interestingly does not apply to level 6, where Crocodile's outdated bounty was actually lower than 100 million, yet he was still sent to level 6. Crocodile actually got pretty lucky here, as level 6 is by far the most cozy level in Impel Down. Just look at this poor bastard who's frozen solid in level 5. Oh wait, that's actually not a prisoner, but the like button of this video. You should click it now that it's stored out. Let's say that the Great Pirates work the same way as Super Rookies, and you get the title after your bounty goes above 3 billion. In some ways, this is an even harder feat than becoming an emperor, as we know that Blackbeard became an emperor with a bounty of only 2.2 billion berry. This criteria would also mean that not just Luffy, but Blackbeard, Buggy, Mihawk and Law have also all become great pirates with their bounty increases in the final saga. However, there could also be other pirates in the story with this title, whose bounties have yet to be revealed. Before I discuss this though, let's finally address the big question brought up at the start of the video. Does Luffy becoming a great pirate finally fulfill his promise with Shanks? I'm sorry if I baited you before, but the answer is actually going to be no. This is because Shanks never mentioned the Great Pirate title when making his promise with Luffy in Chapter 1. Shanks in the original Japanese does not say Dai Kaisoku, but instead Rippana Kaisoku. Rippana is a simple adjective in Japanese for the word great, but it could also be translated as something like outstanding or splendid. To put it more simply, Shanks is only telling Luffy to become a very good pirate, not for him to specifically earn the Great Pirate title. What is also very interesting is that according to Shanks' crew, Luffy has already become a splendid enough pirate to be able to meet Shanks. When the Red Hair Pirates came to Wano at the end of the arc, Lucky Roo said that Luffy had now become a Rippana Kaisoku, or a great pirate, and that they could now meet him. As we all know, however, Shanks still refused to meet Luffy at Wano. It could be that Shanks himself does not consider Luffy to be a good enough pirate yet. Or it could simply be that Shanks has some other reason for still not wanting to meet Luffy, even though at this point, Luffy has seemingly earned every pirate accolade that Shanks himself has, with the only possible exception being the amount of their bounty. So, in short, Shanks' promise with Luffy is more subjective, and does not necessarily mean that Luffy has to earn some specific title to be able to return the Straw Hat to Shanks. I actually think the one who gets to decide when Luffy is ready to have his reunion is Luffy himself. The way Shanks words his promise to Luffy, he tells Luffy to return the hat to him, which in my opinion means that Luffy himself has to decide when he has become a good enough pirate to fulfill this promise. And apparently, Luffy's standards are extremely high, as Luffy at the end of Wano could sense that Shanks had come to the island, yet was perfectly fine not meeting him. So clearly, Luffy does not think that even becoming a Yonko is good enough for him to be able to meet Shanks. Now, as the last part of this video, I'll briefly go over who I think could be the other unconfirmed great pirates in the One Piece story. If we go off the earlier idea that you need a bounty of at least 3 billion to earn this title, then as brought up before, Blackbeard, Bucky, Mihawk and Law should already be great pirates. Aside from these four, I think by far the two most likely candidates left are Kusan and Rayleigh. Kusan is rather easy to argue, as the Cross Guild, an organization that should be much less wealthy than the world government, is already willing to pay 3 billion berry for admirals. Kusan is also not just any former admiral, but he was also someone considered for the position of fleet admiral. Add to this, that Kusan is just way too strong for his bounty to be any lower than 3 billion, where he's doing things like instantly freezing Yonko officers, or how he's able to fight some of the strongest fighters in the world like Whitebeard, Akainu and Garp. Rayleigh to me is another shoe-in for this title. He's basically a living legend in the One Piece world, where even someone like Nami, who didn't for example know that Shanks was an emperor, had heard about Rayleigh. There is also evidence that Rayleigh when he was younger was actually someone whose strength was on the level of the emperor's, as by his own words, Rayleigh implies that he in the past could have had a chance of beating someone like Blackbeard. It is also unlikely that Rayleigh is lying here, as he is consistently one of the most humble characters in the story. On top of this, Kizaru in Sapodi says that the Roger pirates by default are seen as some of the worst pirates out there, and as the former first mate, Rayleigh would essentially be the most high-value Roger pirate who is still alive. Rayleigh is more than likely the most notorious first mate in the story, and one of the most likely characters to be a great pirate. It also genuinely would not surprise me if his bounty was way above 3 billion berry, and went even above 4 billion. Granted, the one thing holding Rayleigh and Kusan back is that neither of them are pirate captains, and this would also go for Mihawk possibly not being a great pirate, as every single confirmed pirate in the story with this title is also a captain. Still, I doubt that this is actually a requirement. For example, you do not need to be a captain to become a supernova either, where both Zoro and Killer received the title despite just being followers. Considering this, it is actually possible that Ben Beckman, as Shanks' first mate, would also be a great pirate. While most Yonko first mates bounties are way below 3 billion, the Red Hair Pirates could be an exception, where in the chapter where the Yonko bounties were revealed, Brand New only singled out Shanks' followers, strongly indicating that they were special even among the Yonko crews. Ben Beckman could even be special among the Red Hair Pirates, where in his Vivre card, Beckman is actually compared to Shanks himself, where he's literally called the moon to Shanks' sun. Aside from all the characters already mentioned, just like Roger, I'd also assume that there are a lot of great pirates in the story who died years in the past. These would include the likes of Roxy Sebek, Kosuke Oden, Captain John, and potentially even more mythical figures like Vanderdecken I, Davy Jones, or even Joy Boy himself. Interestingly, even though the story is currently literally in the Great Pirate era, most of the confirmed great pirates are actually from past eras of the One Piece world. I however think this is only temporary, and that just like Luffy and Kid, a lot of the pirates who are currently active will end up becoming great pirates during the final saga. Luffy's generation of pirates are essentially supposed to be the most important pirating generation of all time, where they're literally destined to change the world by a prophecy passed down since the Void Century. In other words, the Great Pirate Era could be solidified in the final saga, with most of the worst generation, and the likes of Sanji Crocodile or the Blackbeard Pirates, also getting the title before the story is over. Anyway, that's enough of me yapping for one video. If you want to support the channel, you can click here to get your wallet plundered by becoming a channel member. Other than that, thanks a lot for watching this video to the end.